Hello and welcome everyone, it's me again, Matsmas. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We're talking about aviation once again, and the absolutely beautiful Gripen fighter jet. Now some of you may be realising, Matsmas, you've already kind of done a video on the Gripen before. Yes, I have, and unfortunately I did have to remove that video for the fact that I cannot talk about defence procurement in my own country, because A, I'm not a subject matter expert, and B, of course there is political influence in terms of talking about aircraft like that. So today, the video of the Gripen is basically going to be, as usual, a normal overview of just the aircraft itself. So, a tradition of neutrality, coupled with a sturdy independence, has seen Sweden produce a series of successful fighter jets. Of course, not everything is indigenous. The engines, avionics, and weapons have been very much imported, or licensed built to foreign designs. But, for a nation with a fairly limited defence budget, imposed by a population of barely 8.5 million, this is a remarkable achievement in every sense of the word. The latest Swedish fighter is the JAS 39 Gripen. So, let's talk a little bit about this aircraft's background. From the early 1950s, airfields were very vulnerable and high priority targets. Sweden adopted the concept of dispersed basing. Hundreds, if not thousands, of short sections of roads throughout the country were selected as ad hoc airstrips, with well-camouflaged dispersal areas under the trees on each side. Naturally, this caused logistics problems which put premiums on reliability and maintainability in the field. More importantly, it demanded fighters with superior short field performance. The requirement was for the ability to operate from a road section of over 2,625 feet or 800 meters long. Takeoff was extremely easy and landing was actually the only real problem. This demanded slow approach speed, good braking and precise touchdown points. The latter could be achieved only by using a brutal high sink rate carrier type no flare landing. Gripen's predecessor, the Viggen, a tactical fighter built in different variants to fill air superiority, attack and reconnaissance roles, was a product of the early 1960s, and the technology and operational requirements by 1980s with the Viggen was already beginning to look pretty dated. In that year, the decision was taken to develop its successor. The requirements were extremely stringent, and Sweden was not messing around when they put to the drawing board of what they wanted from their next fighter. A single type of a new machine had to be able to replace Viggen in all of its roles, while surpassing in every area such as air-to-air combat. It also had to be very affordable in sufficient numbers. But during the 1970s, costs had escalated out of sight. As there is a direct link between weight and cost, the solution had to be to produce a much smaller fighter than the Viggen, but with equal or greater capabilities. Studies showed that the advances in technology, notably relaxed stability in FBW, composite construction, efficient turbofans with far higher climb rates and thrust-weight ratios, and advanced avionics would allow a payload range of performance comparable to that of the Viggen for half the takeoff weight of the latter. In the air combat arena, maneuverability would be far superior. Small size had a spin-off, in that RCS would be minimized without positive stealth measures being incorporated. In 1980, Industria Gripen JAS was formed. It was a consortium of Saab Scania, Volvo Glygmotor, Ericsson, and FFV Aerotech to develop what was become the JAS, or JACT, Attack Spanning 39. Basically, it was to be an air superiority fighter, the JACT, with the attack and spanning, or reconnaissance, as secondary missions. With a target weight of 8 tons settled for the new fighter, a suitable engine was the first priority. The choice fell on General Electric's F404, selected for the FA-18 Hornet. GE and Volvo Glygmotor worked to screw the extra 2,000 pounds or 907 kilograms out of thrust of this aircraft. Mass flow was increased by 5% and the turbine entry temperature raised by 105 degrees Celsius, while resistance to bird strikes was improved, which of course when you talk about something like improvised airfields like roads or wherever else you can land these things, birds don't like to just fly away when things like aircraft come land. They like to just fly for some reason into an extremely powerful engine, of course causing major issues for the aircraft. Not only that, but foreign object debris on any landing strip, even a normal array running landing strip, can be very dangerous, and of course the engines were made to be a lot more robust to take on that kind of foreign object debris. But problems had to be overcome on the way in developing this aircraft. What was now the RM-12 suffered from slow thrust build-up on takeoff, cracking compressor blades, and afterburner problems. With the engine selected, however, the next task was to wrap up the new fighter around it. The first consideration was the intake. A chin location had many advantages, but posed design problems with such a small little fighter. The alternate was a fixed geometry side inlet system. While the side slit would cause distortion of the airflow, the RM-12 was known to be very tolerant of this setup. A further advantage was the reduced RCS from head-on. A canard delta configuration was adopted for maximum agility for high acceleration and performance, as with France's Rafale, which, again, I just did a video on. All moving canards were close coupled and located at the top of the inlets after the pilot. The evolved Saab 39 had a mid-position wing, almost entirely of composite construction, which allows adequate stores clearance. Wing/body blending is minimal, and the root extensions absent. The wing tips themselves are cropped to allow the carriage of air-to-air missiles. About 30% of the structure is made up of composites, including the vertical tail. The canopy is fed into a dorsal spine, which carries control runs. The main gears, stressed for hard landings, retract into the fuselage after the intakes, and unlike Viggen, Gripen has neither a braking parachute nor thrust reversers. Its short landing run is entirely dependent on a combination of efficient braking coupled with aerodynamic downloads, speed brakes on each side of the aft fuselage, and deflecting the canards steeply downwards to create drag. The cockpit itself is very modern, with HOTAS, 3 MFDs and a wide-angle diffraction optics HUD, fronted by a warp-around windshield. The ejection seat is raked at 22-degree angle. Ericsson made both the radar and the self-protection suite. The PS-05 Alpha pulse-Doppler multi-mode radar was developed specifically for the Gripen. A few details have really been released, and it's quite classified as to what they want to tell you about this aircraft's radar system, but it's known to have at least 5 main air-to-air modes plus a radar gun aiming mode. It provides monopulse SARH for Skyflash AAMs and mid-course guidance updating the AMRAAM and Mica missiles. The planar array scanner is small, just 23.62 inches or 600mm in diameter, but given a 1 kilowatt power output reinforced by low noise preamplifiers and a search range of about 54 nautical miles or 100 kilometers, which is pretty reasonable. And you can tell from the majority of the information that they've given us on the avionics and radar of this aircraft that it's pretty powerful at what it can do in the air-to-air or air superiority role. In terms of flight testing, the maiden flight of the Gripen prototype took place on December 9, 1988, with the chief test pilot Stig Holstrom at the controls. Much of the preceding 2 years had been spent in validating the software for the triplex digital FBW system, even though this had been flown in Viggen testbeds since 1982. Stig himself had spent 1,000 hours in the simulator, and on landing he commented that while the aircraft flew very well, the control system was a little bit too sensitive. Unfortunately, this came to bear even more in February 2, 1989, as test pilot Lars Redstrom came in to land. The Gripen started to pitch, hit the runway hard, and came to rest, inverted. It was a complete write-off, although fortunately Lars escaped with relatively minor injuries. Just like any computer or advanced avionics, there is always going to be some bugs that need to be ironed out, and the software control laws were found to be at fault and amendments were made. Of course, this was quickly addressed, and in the same year of 1989, in May, the flight test program was resumed, and Gripen was a lot more stable. In September 1992, Gripen made an international debut at the Farnborough Airshow in England. Just when all seemed to be going well, Lars Redstrom again drew the short straw. During a public display over Stockholm on August 8, 1993, Gripen became uncontrollable during a shallow turn and Lars ejected. Fortunately, no one on the ground was injured, but the crashing aircraft did not do well for the Gripen's image. This major setback was not righted until 1995, when the P-11 flight control software was passed ready as new. First flown as a two-seater on April 29, 1996, the two-seater JAS-39B was a combat trainer. To make space for the second cockpit, the fuselage is 26 inches or 655mm longer. The fuel was reduced and the gun was deleted to save weight. The first JAS-39B entered service in April 1998. The initial JAS-39A Gripen was a production variant that was joined by the two-seater JAS-39B. Beyond that, the JS-39B was more or less the same as the JS-39 Alpha aircraft production mark, with listed exceptions as I mentioned before. The single-seat JS-39C and corresponding twin-seat JS-39D was developed to produce a fighter that conformed to NATO standards requiring of the export market. This also fulfilled the third published Gripen production batch numbering of 50 aircraft announced in June 1997. The changes included a reworked electronics package, provision for a Western Ordnance Support and Basic In-Flight Refueling package, and the JS-39D became the two-seater version of the JS-39C and similar in form and function to the JS-39B before it. The 39 Alpha and 39 Charlie single-seat fighter variants are the only production marks armed with the 27mm Mauser BK-27 Gatling-type internal cannon, which is afforded 120 rounds. The twin-seat B and D production models lack the installation due to the addition of the second cockpit. However, all Gripen designs share the same 9 hardpoints for carrying of various munitions. 3 hardpoints, 6 total, are found on each wing, 2 times the underwing and 1 under the wing tip, with 3 located under the fuselage, 2 under the intakes and 1 under the fuselage centerline. The center fuselage position and the innermost underwing hardpoints are plumbed for a jettisonable external fuel tank for increased operational ranges apart from in-flight refueling. The wingtip mounts are reserved for short-range air-to-air missiles launched from the rail assemblies. The 39C and D can make use of various short to medium-range air-to-air missiles and air-to-surface missiles, even some anti-ship missiles and rocket pods. Laser-guided bombs and munitions such as cluster bombs and conventional drop bombs can also be installed. Cleared munitions include 13.5cm rockets fired from pods, the RB-74 or AIM-9 Sidewinder, the RB-98 or Iris-T, the RB-99 or AIM-120 AMRAAM, the MBDA Mica tactical air-to-air missile, the RB-71 Skyflash, the Meteor Beyond Visual Range or BVR missile, the RB-75 AGM-65 Maverick, the KEPD-350 Air Launch Cruise Missile, and the RBS-15F anti-ship missile, including dumb bombs as the GBU-12 Paveway 2 laser-guided bomb and the BK-90 cluster bomb and the Mark 82 standard drop bomb. Saab developed a twin-seat technology demonstrator through the Gripen Demo Initiative. This type has been utilized to prove concepts from Gripen NG or next generation aircraft. The Gripen NG has been given all the new F414G series turbofan engines with new avionics. Internal fuel volume has also been increased as the airframe's maximum takeoff weight. As such, the Gripen NG will be able to fly faster, farther and longer before with more expanded weapons roles. The Swedish Air Force is intending the Gripen NG to be its next standardized Gripen form by the end of the decade, effectively set to produce the JS-39C Plus and the JS-39D Plus, as the designations correspond with existing, though eventually modified, C and D models. At any rate, the Gripen NG is an important development to the future of the JS-39 sales and program expansion, and continues to put this fighter on the forefront of Sweden's defensive forces. Now I'm going to show you a little kind of promotional video of this aircraft because I thought it was done very, very well, and honestly I love kind of looking at the tactical kind of videos that showcase military products. So let's take a look, shall we?
Why are we here? Because we make a difference. There's much beauty here, but also violence. Brother has turned against brother, and the whole region is about to burst into flames. We cannot let that happen.
Kingdom formation. Heads up for stray trees. The target is a concealed ammunition depot.
Equipped with the most advanced sensors and weapons wings can bear, we struggle to prevent the conflict from spreading further.
1 and 2, intention GBU 49. 3, ready to bomb up and buddy lays. 4, air-to-air cover.
An unarmed country desired for its strategic value. It would be overrun any day. So we fly to keep them safe.
1 and 2, leaving IP. 3, captured. 1 and 2, bombs away. Lazy. 10 seconds.
We are Gripen pilots. We fly.
Matrix, Eagle 1. The place is deserted. As always.
The area we uphold is vast, but we can stay in the air for hours and nothing escapes our watching eyes.
There is a man here. Switching to infrared. This is not good. Matrix, Eagle 1. There's a whole army down there.
What's that she said?
Tanks, SAMs, everything.
Put her on 1. Let's see what she's got. How did they get all that past us?
It's a full invasion force. Less than an hour from the capital. We don't have the resources to stop them.
We can't battle them in the field, but we can take out Kanoa Bridge and cut them off. But that's an important bridge for the people we're here to help. We need top-level clearance.
Yes, sir.
Well, this happen quick before they have a chance to put SAMs there to protect that bridge.
Well, 4-ship Kingdom is returning from the morning mission.
Uh-huh.
They're still 45 minutes or so from the base. But to save time, we can have them land on this road.
That's a little short for a fighter.
It's more than enough for Gripen.
Stay off the road.
We'll bring in weapons and fuel from the bombed airfield. Turnaround doesn't take long. They'll be heading for the bridge in no time.
Okay, make it happen. And tell Mr. President, unless he wants visitors, we need that clearance now.
Mr. President. Mr. President, they need your decision.
Kingdom 1, red green light. Target Kanoa Bridge.
Release point, bullseye.
18030 miles.
Copy, green light. Primary target is Kanoa Bridge. Release point, bullseye, 18030 miles. Approaching RP. Estimated time, 12 minutes. Bogey, 1 o'clock. Closing. 1 and 2 will continue on heading. 3 and 4 commit for VID.
We meet them out here from time to time. They know we don't fire without warning, so they make us come in close.
Turn south. Leave the area now.
They also know we carry Meteor and Iris T, so they never engage. But of course, things change.
Jeez, heads up. He's leaning you. Declared hostile. Missile, 11 o'clock. 4, spy, defending. Releasing flares. The missile passed you. Keep braking left. You'll meet almost head on. That was close. You have a clean shot at him. Soon. I'm rotating high above you. He's lost all his energy. I have you now. Engaging. Lock 2. Splash 1. Green lane 060.
One thing about shooting your enemies out of the sky, it draws attention.
Matrix, Kingdom 1. New picture. 6 groups wall. 50 miles wide along the border. Eastern group, bullseye 210. 60 miles. Bandit, the way is blocked.
And the enemy is moving out? It won't take them long to reach the bridge.
You have to get to the release point now.
Roger that. Kingdoms, spread out. Formation box.
They outnumber us, but we have the information advantage. Our radar is superior. We have the world's most advanced tactical link. What one sees, all of us know.
Heads up, 2 incoming missiles. 1 and 2, skate. 3 and 4, monitor when we pump. Roger, 2, engaging.
BVR combat. It's the one with the best weapons, tactics, and knowledge of the opponent's weaknesses who eventually wins. Problem is, we can't wait for eventually.
This is what we'll do. 3 and 4 target southern, south middle, and western group. I will target southeastern and eastern group with meteors. 2, stay low level and be ready to head for the target. Roger that. On your mark. Meteor 1 locked on. It's gonna hit. Now go! 2 heading for RP. Kingdom 2, missiles away.
Missiles approaching target. Eagle 1, ready to damage report. Estimated impact in 3, 2, 1, now.
Delta Hotel. The target is destroyed.
So there you have it, folks. The Gripen fighter aircraft. A cute little ditzy thing in my eyes. It's almost like an European F-16 with some canards on it. Sort of a Delta cross F-16 style fighter jet. Really, really nice fighter for sure. I love the fact that this thing can land just about anywhere and be turned around in minutes. Literally in 25 minutes that I've been told. This thing can get rearmed and refueled and back in the sky. And that's key for what it was designed for back in the Cold War era times. You know, being able to do really short turnaround times, get that thing loaded back up, fueled up, afterburners burning, and back on the runway ready to go. That's critical if you need to keep the battle force rolling and to continue protecting the airspace that you've been designated to do. And there's lots of roles that are capable for this aircraft too, of course. You know, if you need to knock out fighters, it can do that. If you need to knock out ships, it can do it. If you need to do ground attack, multi-role definitely is what they've poised for this aircraft for every single mission they need it to do. Thank you again so much for joining me today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a like if you did enjoy it, and feel free to hit that little bell button by the subscribe button to be notified of any upcoming content in the future. I really appreciate each and every one of you who've been contributing towards my Patreon, so thank you so much for doing that. And also for those of you who've been just watching my content and, you know, subscribing and interacting on my Discord channel, playing video games. We had a really good night the other night playing some games. All that sort of stuff. It just really keeps me motivated to continue making great content for you guys. Anyway, thanks again for being here today, folks, and have an absolutely awesome day. All the best. Bye-bye.